History's 7 most expensive human errors. What does a spreadsheet typo, a forgotten math conversion, and a seawall built just a little too short all have in common? Well, they're all simple human blunders that kicked off some of the most expensive disasters in history. These weren't acts of malice, but small mistakes that spiraled into billion-dollar catastrophes. From the silent depths of space to the frantic energy of a trading floor, a single moment of carelessness can rewrite history, erase fortunes, and even cost lives. The line between a normal day and a historic disaster can be a single misplaced decimal point, a rushed copy-paste, or one ignored warning. Here are 7 of history's most expensive human errors. Number 7. The trashed hard drive. Our list begins not with a bang, but with the quiet click of a trash can. In 2013, an IT worker in Newport, Wales named James Howells was cleaning his house. He had 2 identical laptop hard drives. One was blank, the other contained the private keys to 8,000 Bitcoin he had mined years earlier, back when the cryptocurrency was practically worthless. In a fateful mix-up, he tossed the wrong one. For years, that mistake didn't matter, but as Bitcoin's value skyrocketed, the weight of his error grew to astonishing proportions. At its peak, that discarded piece of hardware was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Howells has since spent years and a great deal of money lobbying the Newport City Council to let him excavate the landfill, a monumental task he's assembled a team of experts for. He's even offered the city a significant percentage of the fortune. But the council has repeatedly denied his requests, citing environmental risks and the fact that his legal claim to the property is shaky at best. As of early 2025, his digital fortune remains buried under tons of real-world garbage, a permanent monument to the importance of double-checking your work. Number 6. The spreadsheet that sank a bank. Next, we move from a city dump to the heart of global finance, where a flaw in a simple spreadsheet cost a banking giant over $6 billion. In 2012, J.P. Morgan Chase was home to a trader so influential his bets could move markets. Nicknamed the London Whale, Bruno Ixil worked in the bank's chief investment office, managing a portfolio meant to hedge against risk. The tool at the center of this storm was a value-at-risk model built in Microsoft Excel. The model was complex, but the error was shockingly simple. An internal report later revealed the model relied on a manual copy-and-paste process. This flawed process, combined with lack of proper testing, caused the model to drastically understate the portfolio's risk. Operating with a false sense of security, the team continued to make massive trades. The error went undetected, and by the time the true scale of the risk was realized, it was too late. The London Whale had beached himself, triggering a staggering $6.2 billion trading loss and sending shockwaves through the financial world. Coming in at number 5 is the tunnel to nowhere. On November 20th, 1980, on Lake Peigneur in Louisiana, a Texaco oil rig was drilling for black gold. Deep beneath the shallow 10-foot-deep freshwater lake was another operation, a massive multi-level salt mine. The two were supposed to be safely separated by solid earth. But on that day, a catastrophic miscalculation occurred. The drilling team was working from survey data, but tragically misinterpreted the coordinates. This navigational error meant their 14-inch drill bit, which they thought was in a safe location, was actually aimed directly at the roof of the salt mine. The drill punctured the mine, creating a small hole that grew with terrifying speed as water dissolved the salt pillars supporting the mine's ceilings. Within hours, a horrifying quarter-mile-wide whirlpool formed, swallowing the entire drilling rig, 11 barges, a tugboat, and 65 acres of land. The immense suction reversed the flow of a 12-mile-long canal, pulling salt water from the Gulf of Mexico into the abyss and creating Louisiana's tallest ever waterfall. Miraculously, all 55 miners and the oil rig crew escaped. The disaster cost Texaco and its partners tens of millions in settlements, shut down the mine forever, and permanently transformed a freshwater lake into a deep saltwater body. These stories show how a single point of failure can lead to an absolute catastrophe. If you're finding this look into expensive errors as fascinating as we are, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our future explorations into history's most incredible stories. Number 3. The metric mix-up in space. In 1999, after a journey of over 400 miles across the cosmos, a NASA mission to Mars vanished without a trace. The Mars Climate Orbiter was designed to study the Martian atmosphere, but as it prepared to enter orbit, it flew too close to the planet and disintegrated. The cause wasn't a complex mechanical failure, but a simple math mistake that should have been caught on Earth. The problem was a failure to convert between two different systems of measurement. The spacecraft software, built by contractor Lockheed Martin, calculated thruster force using the imperial unit of pound force seconds. However, the navigation team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was expecting those numbers to be in Newton seconds. This conversion error meant that every time the spacecraft fired its thrusters for course correction, the force applied was different from what NASA's computers were calculating. Over the 9-month journey, these tiny errors accumulated, sending the orbiter on a fatal trajectory. It entered the Martian atmosphere at a much lower altitude than planned, where it was torn apart by friction. The total mission cost of $327.6 million, including the spacecraft, launch, and operations, was lost in translation. Number 2. The oil well that wouldn't stop bleeding. In the Gulf of Mexico on April 20, 2010, a cascade of risky, cost-cutting decisions on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig led to the largest marine oil spill in U.S. history. 11 workers lost their lives, and an environmental catastrophe unfolded for 87 straight days. A U.S. government report later identified a series of failures, pinning primary blame to BP and its partners. Investigators found that a core factor was the decision to replace heavy drilling mud used to stabilize the well with lighter seawater to save time. On top of that, critical tests indicating the well's cement seal was faulty were ignored, and the rig's blowout protector, the last line of defense, failed to activate after the initial explosion. A surge of high-pressure methane gas shot up the drill pipe, igniting on the platform and causing a massive explosion. For nearly 3 months, an estimated 4.9 million barrels of crude oil gushed into the Gulf, devastating marine ecosystems and coastal economies. The total cost to BP has been astronomical, with cleanup expenses, penalties, and settlements exceeding $65 billion. And for our final entry, we have the most infamous disaster in the history of nuclear power. On April 26, 1986, a poorly designed safety test at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine went horribly wrong, triggering a catastrophe with consequences that still linger today. Operators of reactor number 4 planned to run a test to see if the plant's turbines could power the cooling pumps in a blackout. To do this, they disabled critical safety systems and ran the reactor at a very low, unstable power level. This, combined with a known design flaw in the reactor, created a ticking time bomb. When an operator tried to shut down the reactor, the control rods momentarily caused a massive power surge instead of stopping the reaction. What followed were 2 massive explosions that blew the 1,000-ton roof off the reactor, spewing a plume of highly radioactive material into the atmosphere for 10 days. The initial blast and acute radiation sickness claimed the lives of 31 plant workers and firefighters. The long-term death toll from radiation-induced cancers is the subject of intense debate, with some estimates reaching into the thousands. The total economic cost is almost impossible to calculate, but studies have placed the figure as high as $700 billion, arguably making Chernobyl the single most expensive human error in history. From a single spreadsheet cell to a planet-sized miscalculation, these 7 stories are a powerful testament to how small mistakes can have consequences on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. They show us that behind the billion-dollar price tags and shocking headlines often lies a simple, preventable human error. They serve as cautionary tales written into the balance sheets and landscapes of our history. Which of these blunders do you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into incredible stories. Thanks for watching.